Virginia-built ship Brilliant, departing for Liverpool with a load of tobacco. Europeans introduced sugarcane to the New World in the 1490s, Caribbean and South America. Sugarcane is hard work, and they started bringing in enslaved workers. In the Caribbean, they started converting the sugarcane into rum. It's a distillery for making rum. A whole display full of different sailing vessels.
1800s, probably. Say, do not photograph.
This tells about the wreck and rescue of an immigrant ship. Most of the passengers were Irish, escaping the Irish potato famine, and over 2 days, the locals had rescued all but one of the 166 passengers and 36 crew. San Francisco during the gold rush. The cruise came loaded with prospectors, and there was no crew to sail them away, so they stayed in the harbor. They sunk and expanded San Francisco significantly. Occasionally, they're still digging down into that muck under the buildings and find remains of some of these ships. There's a model of one of them that went around the Horn to get to the gold fields. Off of Gloucester, Massachusetts, breaking for oysters on the Chesapeake Bay, Columbia River. Intercoastal passenger liner, California, 1928. Excursion steamer, 1906. Henrik Hudson. This ship is called the Leviathan. Not surprising how it got that name. 1923. Something about these guys. It must have been a TV show. They're the first to drive across the continent in 1903. Contest to see who could get there first, and these guys won. Nelson Jackson and Sewell K. Crocker, mechanic. Handy they had a mechanic with them. Before long, they decided cars had to have licenses, and then they invented parking meters. A train. The old horse and buggy replaced by the train. Motorcycle.
Isn't that cool?
So this one's called the Flying Merkel. Train's ready to take off. '67 Pontiac Grand Prix. That's when cars were long. Evidently a 1967 Honda Chicago Subway, known as the L. It's a subway car. It's a country squire in the 50s. Town said, leaving the driving to us. Studebaker Champion Starlight Coupe 1950. The pickup truck. This is a school bus. Cater Motor Camp. Exhibits 1934. Trailer, and you go camping, and you sit out in the sun, and you still have a tent. Oakland Sedan, 1929. People put all their possessions on board and headed for California. There were lots of Indian trading posts along Route 66. 46, a song was written, "Get Your Kicks on Route 66." In 1888, trolley lines were created, and this is one here in Washington, D.C. Line up to get on board. We're starting with streetcars. There's someone on a bicycle, and we still had horse and buggies. This is the Santa Cruz Railroad Company. You can take the train to Monterey and Santa Cruz every Sunday through the summer season. And there's the boardwalk in Santa Cruz. The steam locomotive Jupiter, 1876, made in Philadelphia, was the Santa Cruz Railroad's third locomotive, built for narrow gauge track. Became obsolete in 1883 when they switched to standard gauge. It was sold to Guatemala, where it hauled bananas for 60 years before it came here. Equaling San Francisco never came through, but the railroad brought outside markets closer, speeded the mail, accelerated tourism. There's still a train that goes right in front of the boardwalk. The Santa Cruz Union Depot was very busy in the 1890s. They were against this railroad coming to Santa Cruz. The Loma Prieta Lumber Company is providing the lumber, and Chinese workers are doing the work. It's changed agriculture, and the rich farmland around Watsonville became a center of produce farming. They had a lot of apples then, and they still have a lot of apples now. Chinese workers, but then with the Chinese Exclusion Act, they switched to Japanese. In the 60s, had lots of Mexicans, and they still, mainly in the Watsonville area, have workers whose heritage is from Mexico. The population is now 70% Latino. A third of the residents are immigrants. They started coming in the 20s, and during World War II, the Bracero program allowed Mexicans to enter the country in short-term labor contracts. 2000, they were doing over 90% of the work. Here they are picking strawberries in the 1980s. There's Monterey Bay, Santa Cruz on the north end, Watsonville, Castroville, down to Monterey. That's probably the old Del Monte Hotel.